Two trains A and B, train A and train B, travel from Derby to York. Leave Derby, arrive York. Both trains travel at a constant speed. Here is the timetable for the trains. So A leaves at 9 and arrives at 11. So that takes it 2 hours. Train B leaves at 10:30 and arrives at 12. So that's 10:30, 11:30 is 1 hour, 12. So that's 1.5 hours, 1.5 hours. So they go the same distance. This one takes 2 hours. This takes 1.5 hours. This train's obviously going faster. They're traveling at constant speed. Train A travels at 60 miles per hour. On the grid, draw the distance time graph for train A. Well, if A does 60 miles per hour and it travels for 2 hours, it must have travelled 120 miles. So 2 times 60 equals 120. So it must be 120 miles. So let's have a look at this graph here. I've got distance from Derby and I've got time. Leave Derby, arrive York. We know it travelled 120 miles and we know it took 2 hours. So it left at 9 o'clock. So it left the station here and it arrived at 11 o'clock. So it arrived here. And in that time, it travelled 120 miles. So it must be 120 miles. So it must be here. 120 miles from 9 to 11. So what we're going to do is we're going to join up those 2 points, and this will give us the distance time graph that we're looking for. Now, interesting, if we look at this, we can check we've got the right answer, because from 9 to 10 is 1 hour, and in 1 hour it travelled 60 miles. And that is consistent with 60 miles per hour. In 1 hour it does 60 miles. So let's look at, on the grid below, draw the distance time graph for train B. Now train B did the same distance, because it went from Derby to York, but it did it in 1.5 hours, between 10:30 and 12. So let's have a look here. So it left the station at 10:30, which is halfway between 10 and 11, which is here. It arrived at 12 o'clock, so it arrived here, and it did the same distance. So it starts there, ends there in terms of time, and still gets to 120 miles away from Derby. So now I'm going to put this line connected to this. Now let's just have a look at these two lines. This line's actually steeper than that one, so this train is going faster. Use your graph to work out the speed of train B. Well, it's asking us for an answer in miles per hour, so we want to know how far it travelled in 1 hour. Well, 1 hour is from 10:30 to 11:30, so this distance here represents 1 hour. So that's 1 hour. And how far did it travel in that time? Well, let's project up, and we can see that the distance from Derby went from 0 up to 80. So 80 miles. So it did 80 miles in 1 hour. The distance, the speed travel is 80 miles per hour.